DJD Reviews here for another quick review. This isn't really a review, more of a look at my collection. I started collecting Transformers back in 2013. My first dabble into them was third-party fans Project Revolver, or their interpretation of Roadbuster. Big shout out to Kapow Toys, who pretty much are the only people that I go to get my figures. I predominantly collect third party, but I have dabbled in a couple of masterpiece figures, but I really like the new modern uptake of design and articulation, those types of things with regards to third party figures. So I have decided to go in that direction. So I'm just going to give you a quick rundown of my collection to date. So on the top shelf here we've got several MMC figures, starting off with Hexatron there, a really nice figure. One of the first figures that they actually released. In fact, it was the first reformatted line figure that they released. Obviously they did release this in a grey format, which is very sought after now. My first mould of the Hexatron was actually the Emissary, because at the time I couldn't find, in the UK anyway, Hexatron for a good price. But I've now got both, really happy with them. So moving on, recently got again MMC's interpretation of Nova Prime, their Seraphis Phenomenon. Really nice figure, love the articulation on it, really good, looks menacing. And then right there in front of Emissary you can see the latest addition to their Azalea mould line, which is one of the Feral Queens. This is Nero Queen, which came in a 2-pack with Feral Queen. This was a Transformers convention exclusive at TFCon in Toronto, Canada. Really nice figure, love the articulation. The head sculpt is really nice, just getting in there. But because of the different shape of the head, it's really difficult to transform, so I'm just going to keep it in robot mode. Moving down, we go into Generation Toy. Never had Devastator as a child, so I really wanted to get in on a modern take of Devastator. I was originally going to go in on Toy World, but I wasn't really a big fan of the size, and also I really wasn't keen on the fact that they used an extra piece with their long haul figure to make the figure even bigger. I like the aesthetic in terms of the G1 homage, but I was really looking for a modern uptake. So yeah, I'm just waiting for the final 2 figures to be released. I understand that Long Haul is out in the Asian market, so it should be over in the UK pretty soon. And as of yesterday, I think they've just started production, release production on their crane. So again, that should be here pretty soon. I've got both pre-ordered at Kapow. Really looking forward to combining them up to make Devastator, and probably won't be able to have them in here anymore. They'll have to probably go on the top of the cabinet. Anyway, moving down, we have a few members of the DJD. Really looking forward to Mastermind Creations finishing off this line. I've got Carnifex, their Overlord, coming, and they have also recently shown at TFCon that they are going to be finishing off the DJD, which is really good. Really looking forward to that. And then a convention exclusive that I bought from Kapow Toys a couple of years ago at Auto Assembly. This is Perfect Effects IDW interpretation of Fort Max in a redo paint job. Really lovely figure. Great articulations, one of the best figures I've got my hands on. Amazing gun, but in terms of transforming it, it can be a bit of a pain, so I'm just going to be leaving it in robot mode. Moving down, we come to the Wreckers, made up predominantly of Fans Project. A couple of years ago, I was fortunate enough to get my hand on Revolver and Recoiler, which was again a Fans Project exclusive. They have now only just released them into the open market, whereas I believe these were an exclusive to the FP shop. So yeah, I'm building up my Wreckers crew. Again, MMC are releasing their interpretation of Whirl, so that'll be added to this soon when that comes out, and I probably will at some point get their Azalea to go with this collection as well. Even though Fans Project and MMC have a completely different design aesthetic, because of the character Impactor, I just think his build, his style actually fits in quite well with the Fans Project guys. So I'm actually really happy with that and looking forward to building that up as well. Okay, so moving across, a couple of figures that I've recently just got my hands on. We have Backdraft, which is MMC or Ocular Max's interpretation of G1 Inferno. Really lovely figure. Bit of a problem with the hip skirt not plugging in properly, but otherwise a really lovely figure. A lot of heft to him as well. Just recently purchased that at TF Nation, so thanks to Andy and Kapow for that. Got a really good deal. Next there is TransFormMission's Disorder. So they've just started to release figures to create Menasor. Again, this is a really nice figure, kind of MP scale, but I know the Gisel when combined probably won't actually be MP scale, but I'm not particularly fussed with that. I just like the styling and the look of the figure. I know it's not G1, but I'm really liking the style. It's more of an IDW interpretation. And then behind him to the left, we have the Ocular Max Perfection Series Sphinx. This is actually a limited edition version of the figure in collaboration with Boris over at Ages 3 and Up in Canada and MMC Ocular Max. Story basically, Boris managed to get hold of a clear prototype of the figure. He'd already had the original figure as well, and he basically took the clear figure apart and started to do his own paint job on it, as if Sphinx was going into his cloaking mode, which is everyone always knows from G1. He could cloak and completely disappear. He then took, I think he said it was 15 pieces that he painted, and then basically screwed it together with another variant of the mold to create what we see here. Some pictures that he took managed to get into the hands of MMC Ocular Max, and they really liked it. So with Boris's collaboration, they released 500 of these. They had some at TF Con in Toronto at the Ages 3 and Up stall. I was fortunate enough that James at TF Nation from Max and Me Love Toys went over to TF Con in Toronto and actually managed to pick up a couple of these. There were only 2 of these available at TF Nation, both on the Max and Me Love Toys stall, and I picked one up because I hadn't been able to get hold of any of the original molds, and I wasn't particularly keen on the Liger repaint, which was the Diaclone homage. Great figure, but I just wasn't really into that. Then moving up, we come to my masterpiece, or for official masterpiece, Takara shelf. This is basically it, guys. Optimus Prime. How can you not have masterpiece Optimus Prime? Really great figure. I picked that up at the last auto assembly last year. Yeah, again, what can you say about masterpiece Optimus Prime? And then a couple of months ago I managed to find myself a Soundwave, you know, everyone kind of like really goes on about how good this figure is, and until you get your hands on it, you really can't appreciate it. It's such a really good figure, and that laser beak is phenomenal. Absolutely amazing piece of engineering. I had thought about getting some of the other cassettes, but haven't got around to that yet. The only other masterpiece figure I'm looking at getting at the moment is not a true masterpiece. I'm looking at in fact I've actually already pre-ordered the Make Toys Despotron interpretation of Megatron, so I understand that's going to be released at the end of September, so only a couple of weeks to wait, and that should be in the display as soon as that comes. Apparently it's got a really unique transformation in comparison to Apollyon and X-Transbots, so looking forward to that. Moving on up, we have MMC's Ferrocons and Ferrorex. I've got all 6 figures. Unfortunately, I think the hip joints are a little bit loose, so it took me ages to get him to stand in this position, and when I had Felisaber attached, it was really heavy and he was really struggling to stand. I think I need to have a look at the hip joint, but all in all, love the figure. And then with the Feral Queen, which again, as the 2-pack recently purchased at TF Nation this past weekend, it really sets off this group of reformatted figures. I think they absolutely look stunning. Okay, and then finally, just going above, because he couldn't fit in the cabinet, we have Warbotron's Bruticus. Now, Warbotron have since gone quiet. A lot of people believe that they are, or have been reincarnated as Generation Toy and also TransForMission, because they are very similar, especially TransForMission and Generation Toy in terms of the aesthetic and the design, and especially with the box art and so forth. So a lot of people think that they are one in the same company, or at least a sister company. Bruticus was my favourite combiner as a child, loved him to bits, had him as a child, but he was also one of my favourite overall just robots and Decepticons. So when Warbotron started releasing these, I had to get him. There's been reports, a lot of people had a lot of issues with this guy from the start with Blastoff. I was fortunate enough not to have any issues at all with Blastoff. The next release, I believe, was Brawl. The only issue I had with him were his hands were really difficult to get out of the forearms. Aside from that, good figure. Swindle, just amazing. The best release of the set, I think, personally. Vortex, again, a very good figure. The only figure I really had an issue with was with Onslaught, you know, very squeaky joints. But these guys aren't going to be taken out of combined mode, so not really fussed about that. All in all, a really good figure, and I've been really fortunate. A lot of people have said they've had issues with the ratchets on the feet breaking. I haven't had any issues whatsoever, so fingers crossed that will remain the same. But there you go, guys. That's essentially my collection to date. Like I said, I've got a few figures coming over the next couple of weeks and months. The Generation Toy Crane and Loader to finish off the Devastator. I've got Carnifex from MMC and also Make Toys Despotron, and then I'm also going to be looking at getting in a couple more of the Perfection series from Ocular Max as well, because I really like their design aesthetic. Anyway, thanks guys for watching. If you've got any questions or anything, please just comment below. And thanks again for watching. This is DJD Reviews. Take care.